Welcome to Business Talk here on businesstech.co.za. Now, time to talk about retail for the masses. There's a penalty attached to being poor. Very often, the less money you have, the more you end up paying per unit. If you could afford the 2-litre bottle or the 5-kilo bag or the bulk pack, you get the better price. It's often just unit economics. And if you've only got enough cash for today's requirements, you buy small, and then the packaging and logistics and all the retail economics make it considerably more expensive. Enter South African entrepreneur Eben de Jongh, who saw that there was a better way. After more than a decade in FMCG, including logistics, factory and project management roles at Unilever, he founded Sonke Retail. It's the company behind Skubu, which is an automated refill model allowing consumers to buy everyday essentials in precisely the quantities that they need. So, Eben, it's a great pleasure to have you on. You're a business that is growing from strength to strength. You've received backing from the SAB Foundation, the CSIR, and various government and corporate partners. Before we get to the machines, I want to start with the problem. What exactly did you see in conventional FMCG retail that made you think the system is actually penalizing lower income consumers here?
Yeah, so in one of my previous roles, we did a project. Actually, it was a Unilever and Coca-Cola project that was combined to get our products directly into spaza shops. So instead of going through the wholesaler, the idea was let's go direct into spaza shops, get closer to our shopper, and remove costs out of the value chain. And what we found is, or what I saw was, we always sold the smallest pack size products. Which were a lot more expensive per gram or per unit, and I just thought that was wrong. Secondly, is not only is it more expensive, it also generates a lot more waste, which is often not recyclable. So a lot of the flexible packaging is a layered packaging, so you then end up with the worst of the worst case, where the most impoverished people are not only paying more, but also generating a lot more waste. So you've got those the two different angles, the social impact and the environmental impact.
And the penalty in practice, when you say you can achieve a 60% saving for shoppers, I mean, that is just enormous. Is that representative across the basket, or is it achievable only on particular products? Give me an example of what somebody might pay conventionally versus through Skubu.
So it depends more on the pack size than on the product. So if you look at maize meal, 1 kg of maize meal retails for about 20 rand. We sell it for 10 rand in store, so that's a 50% saving. But then on the bigger pack sizes, your saving drops substantially. So on the big pack sizes, we normally about 10% cheaper. But on the smaller pack sizes, it's up to 60% cheaper. So it just depends on the product and the pack size. So maize meal is a great example. Sugar, half a kg we retail for 10 rand. Regular retail is about 18 rand. So those are two examples.
Massive savings. Put me in the shoes of somebody walking into one of your stores for the first time. How does Skubu actually work? How have you solved for this? The big packaging constraint primarily. Do I have to bring my own dishes and packaging? How does it actually work in practice?
Yeah, so in practice, our shoppers would arrive with their own packaging. They would select their pack size at the machine. So the machine, you've got buttons. So there'll be a half kg, 1 kg, 2 kg, 5 kg. Select your pack size, you tap your card, you press start, and your packaging would fill up. So you get the saving on buying as if you buying bulk, and also elimination of plastic packaging.
And then you deploy these, where would they go? Generally in spaza shops? Where have you deployed your station so far? And what have you seen in terms of uptake? Is there still a degree of consumer education required?
So we've got two separate parts of the business. The first part is what we call the legacy part of Sonke, which is automated refill stations that are within formal retail outlets. So, for example, ShopRite, Spar, and Pick n Pay, where we already have machines existing. These are only oil machines, so either sunflower or soya. So that's the first element. The second element is a vertically integrated store where we own our own outlets called where instead of having one refill station inside of a formal retailer, we now own the retail space ourselves. And we've got a range of products. So we've got 3 of those stores spanning between 16 and 35 different product categories. So yeah, all the basics: rice, sugar, oil, maize meal, flour, mabele, and then also we've got Sunlight, Omo, and Surf washing powder as well.
And where have you got those 2 stores? That to me is a fascinating evolution of the model. And what kind of volumes do those stores need to become commercially viable?
Yeah, so it's a world first. It's the first fully automated refill store in the world. And we've got 3 of those. We've got 2 in Deep Sloot and we've got 1 in Tembisa. The 2 in Deep Sloot are mall-based stores, and the third one in Tembisa is a container-based store, which is in the community, so you can get much closer to your shopper. So that's only been operational now for 8 weeks, and it's been a great learning for us.
And I mean, is that viable without grant support? And I think it's a question that matters enormously for social enterprises. At what point does Skubu stop being an interesting pilot funded partly by development capital and become a business that conventional commercial capital will fund because the unit economics stand on their own?
Yeah. So I think we are approaching that stage. I'm all in on this. So while we have received limited funding from the SAB Foundation, from 91, and from the CSIR, I sold my house and my apartment to fund this. So the unit economics I think is sound as it is. But yeah, you really have to get scale behind it to make it work.
Wow, well, that is real commitment. And, as they say, the early days of entrepreneurship can be tough. It can be a very difficult, very lonely business, building a business like this, but you are clearly committed. What have been the biggest learnings for you as an entrepreneur working in almost one could call the social enterprise or development impact scale of entrepreneurial activity in South Africa? What have been the biggest lessons for you?
So I think the big thing that I keep thinking about is what would South Africa look like if everybody had the opportunities that I had. So the playing field is not level, and I think it's up to South Africans to step up and try and level the playing field. And in an environment where the most impoverished people are paying up to twice the price, um, that's really a problem worth solving. And I think the risk is that if you don't solve it, I think the 2021 riots gives you a bit of an insight into what might happen. It's not right. So I think this it's something that in my view I have the skills to solve it, or at least partially solve it, and I've got a responsibility to do that.
And I think, looking at when Tiger Brands went into Nigeria, it's one thing that they discovered. There's kind of what they call a break bulk distribution, where you would sell a 5 kg sugar, it would go into a spaza shop. The spaza shop owner would then break it into smaller packets and sell it on, but not necessarily giving the full saving back to the consumer. And your model really builds on that, takes it much further. What has the response been from the big retailers? Do they see you as a partner that can reduce costs and packaging and bring more traffic into their stores? Or do they see you potentially as somebody challenging the economics of their existing packaged goods model?
Look, I think we are so small that I'm not really sure that we would come up as a risk. I think we're showing the bigger guys that there's a different way of doing things, and we'd love to work with them. Um, the way that we see it is we'd like to scale the impact. We believe that our way of doing things is the better way of doing things. But we're so small. I mean, our turnover out of our 3 stores is, it's not even a blip on the radar of the big guys. So, um, we do see ourselves as a technology company first and foremost. So, if any of the big players are keen to join up and scale this, then yeah, we'd love to have that conversation.
Yeah, and as a byproduct of the main mission, which is to ensure that there isn't this deeply ironic tiered structure of payment where if you're wealthy and you can afford to buy bulk, you get the discount, and when you're poor and you really can't afford to, you've got to pay more. It's
Yeah,
also it's environmentally friendly. There's a sustainability element to it because you're reducing the overall amount of packaging that's being sent
absolutely,
out into the market.
absolutely, and that's a huge impact. And I think something that a lot of South Africans don't know is that we've got EPR legislation, so extended producer responsibility legislation, that's supposed to factor in the cost of disposal of your packaging waste. Um, but our tariffs or rates on the EPR is 20 times less punitive than the EU. So so the cost of disposal of packaging is something that I think is a low hanging fruit that you need to cost for. And I think the EU has done a much better job at doing that. And if you incorporate those costs, then the refill model becomes even more attractive commercially. So we don't have the legislative framework and tailwinds that the EU have, but our market is a lot more, I think, well suited to the uh, refill as a model. But if we get those legislative tailwinds in place, the commercials will become so much better as well. So we hope, looking forward to having an update of those in the coming years as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the EPR framework, as you say, it's in place. It's now about refining and tweaking to ensure that we have the intended outcome. And ultimately, it's about reducing the amount of waste that goes to landfill or just ends up as pollution in the environment. And this is a really innovative solution to that. You were awarded a development award in the social innovation category at the SAB Foundation Social Innovation and Disability Empowerment Awards, which is quite an accolade. Can you just tell us a bit about what that meant for the business, and has that enabled you to scale and take it to the next level?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, at the time when we got that grant, we only had one type of machine in trade, um, which was oil. We now have seven different technology types. So we've got water, oil, solids, powders, viscous liquids. Um, so we are now able to dispense anything from a kidney bean to sunlight liquid soap to water to rice or sugar. So each different product is a different technology behind it, or a variation of the technology behind it. So that's yeah, it was part of the foundation of building Skubu. So we're really grateful for that support.
And I believe the CSIR has already worked with you analyzing some of the refill data, and that helps determine where machines could be located. How sophisticated can that become? I mean, it's a really interesting data element to the story. Could that data eventually tell you not only where to open the next Skubu, but exactly which products and pack equivalent sizes a particular community needs?
Yeah, 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 absolutely. So I was blown away at the level of data that the CSR have available. So the team that helped us are the same team that work on the elections modeling. So super valuable to sit with some of the most intelligent people that I've ever been in a room with, and also access to tools that are also mind bending. So that was really, really interesting, and we hope to work with them again in the future.
Now let's imagine that this really seriously works. And what does scale look like 5 years from now? Are you looking at 50 Skubu stores, 500, thousands of refill machines inside other retailers? And if you were to achieve that, what would you say would be the biggest constraint? Capital, getting the retailers on side? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah, so I don't want to talk out of turn because it's early days yet. So our first store was only launched in May of last year. We only have three stores. We're still kind of figuring out exactly where we fit in. Um, yeah, we are super ambitious to scale, and we are looking for strategic partners to help us unlock the scale.
Well, I think you're being immensely humble. It's a great accolade to be recognized in the awards, and also to see the proof of concept and tackling two very important issues, from sustainability to ensuring that we have a level playing field for both wealthy and poor consumers. Eben, thanks so much for your time. Been great chatting to you here on Business Talk. Eben de Jongh, founder of Skubu, wishing you all the best in scaling and realizing that ambition.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Michael.